Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to night 4 of Shark Week 2025 with another Cools Reviews episode. And we have reached the night that I think I was most excited for, just kind of based off of just reading the schedule and seeing what the titles of the programs were. And that's because we had Expedition Unknown Shark Files, Expedition X Malpelo Monster Shark, and Force Galantes Alien Sharks Death Down Under. And so, yeah, I've been kind of talking about this briefly here and there, just saying how this was the night that I was most excited for. So, of course, it was going to go one of two ways. Either I was going to really enjoy tonight, or it wasn't going to live up to my expectations. And as we know, we've had some really good episodes, but as far as like an overall day, I don't know if we've had a super solid day. I know we've had some pretty good days, and definitely everything I think has gotten better since the Dancing with Sharks. Now, I did see the commercials for tomorrow, and we'll see. I don't know. I'm a little worried based off of what I saw, but of course, we won't know until we watch it. So we'll see what that one has to offer tomorrow. But once more, we are just back talking tonight's 3 episodes, and let's get right into it with Expedition Unknown Shark Files. So in this episode, Josh covers 3 different events related to sharks and shark attacks, I guess. One of the 3 isn't really a shark attack, but more. We'll get into it. Just don't worry about it. First one it covers is the Jersey shark attacks of 1916, which is something we've covered a couple times, thanks to Matt's True History of the Silver Screen, link above, as well as a review of 12 Days of Terror. Like I said before, we are saving Blood in the Water for next year, so just stay tuned for that. We'll be doing it in due time. But yeah, overall, I mean, this episode goes over, I guess, the basics and the 4 victims. It does leave out the 5th attack, where the child survives, but there is this like tug of war with his brother and friend and the shark to save him. And so, yeah, it's kind of, I guess, odd that they left it out. But again, maybe it doesn't seem as dramatic, or they're just trying to streamline it since they do have to fit 3 different things in and talk only about the 4 people who unfortunately lost their lives during this event. Overall, it's a pretty solid retelling. Yeah, I guess some of the clothes maybe don't look 100% period accurate, but it's kind of nice that they use footage of real sharks. I know when we did 12 Days of Terror, that was one of the things that really stuck out was just the model. Again, they're working with a low budget, but just today, and I know they did it in Blood in the Water, where they're able to integrate real footage of sharks, just makes it look that much better. Now, kind of the mystery behind it was what shark, did the attacks. And this has been something going back and forth. It's something we even discussed in our episode. As far as, was it one shark? Was it multiple sharks? We may never know. Josh does talk about how a bull shark was captured 9 days after the I'm guessing the last fatal attack, since they don't cover the 5th one, but it doesn't also go into the explanation of sometimes Matawan Creek does run a little salty, so maybe it's not so bizarre that maybe a white shark could go up there for a day or so. It wasn't in the creek for super long. As far as the one boat captain saw it going upstream, it does the attacks, and then once the one white shark is caught, the attack stop. Now, granted, if the bull shark was the culprit of the Matawan Creek portion and it was caught 9 days later, also kind of makes sense. Like, if you get rid of the shark that's doing the attacks, probably going to stop. At the same time, maybe they never caught that shark, right? It might just never have attacked people again. But yes, there was a small white shark that was caught right outside of the mouth of the Matawan Creek with human flesh inside. I think it was like enough to fill 2 like milk cartons, or milk. It wasn't cartons like we think of it today, but like milk buckets, something like that. It was a decent amount of like bone and flesh from this white shark. And again, the attacks do stop. So it's a mystery that will never be solved. But like I said, after that one was caught, no more attacks. Of course, there's never actually, I think, been a case of a rogue shark. So this would be a super unusual case. The first 2 definitely seem like mistaken identity and very similar to a lot of white shark attacks where it's at the shoreline, or Brooder, I think, was like 150 yards away from the shore. So a decent amount out, like they say, towards nighttime during dusk when white sharks are out about, and it's harder for them to visualize. Moving on to the next one was about a ship sinking in around Cape Town, South Africa, where apparently there was like 100 white sharks, and I think something like 400 people died. Again, was it old to the sharks? Probably not. Probably exposure did get some of them, but the people that weren't getting picked off by the sharks were able to make it to shore, as well as like a good majority of the horses. So I guess there is a good argument that, yeah, the sharks, especially in the early morning hours when they're hunting, came and got some people because it's easy pickings. Plus, they're probably used to that area with a lot of seals that they can just go up and get some meat. And if there's people struggling at the water, and they can even see like these sharks kind of like swimming around, like a huge number of them from boat deck, I guess it could make sense. I think a lot of people, when they heard ship sinking, thought it was going to be about the Indianapolis. And at first, when Gates came on, I was like, "Oh, cool! It's gonna be the Indianapolis." But I did notice the red coat, and I was like, "Oh, it's not gonna be the Indianapolis," which is kind of a bummer because that would be the one of the few times we'd be able to hear oceanic whitetip. Again, it's kind of a cool shark that just doesn't get enough love. I know at one point there is a documentary. Maybe we'll cover it just to talk about oceanic whitetips. But moving on to the last case, another pretty famous case, the shark arm case, which is one I want to cover at some point. I remember reading about it in a shark book I got from SeaWorld, I don't know, over 20 years ago at this point, about when this gentleman who owned like a kind of an aquarium got this tiger shark from the ocean, brought it into his aquarium. People were watching at one point. It was seeming kind of sluggish and sick, and then it like pukes and throws up this like arm, and they're able to find out it was a murder based off of how the cut is done on the arm, and they actually figure out who was murdered thanks to the tattoo on the arm. So all in all, I would say this episode really good. Do they leave some facts out? Do they kind of streamline it? I would say so, but I think this is more because they had to streamline each story to make sure all three could fit into the one hour time slot, or I guess 40 minutes after commercials. But some of these, I think, especially like the boat sinking one, I think deserves like a longer treatment. Heck, even if they did a movie, I think the shark arm case should deserve a movie. And we all know, obviously, Jaws. Whether Benchley said it was or wasn't, the 1916 attacks definitely share a lot of similarities to what Jaws became. So already kind of got a movie, as well as it does have 12 Days of Terror, Blood in the Water, like I said. So moving on to another expedition show, and this one's Expedition X, which was the Malpelo monster shark. And this is where they're going out looking for a cryptid, in this case, a shark, which is the Malpelo monster shark, based off some footage of what looks to be, to me, right off the bat, a very large sand tiger shark. It just has that classic sand tiger shark look and body structure from the side. Yeah, its head and stuff looks a little bit wonky for the sand tigers we're used to seeing, but there are different types of sand tigers. So maybe this was just a very abnormally large sand tiger. And so Phil and team go and they set out to look for, and they do see quite a bit of sharks. We see hammerheads. They do show a couple shots of oceanic whitetips. So we get our first sighting for 2025. Super cool. See some tiger sharks. We see like duskies, bronze whalers. I mean, they show like a clip of a white shark and a whale shark. So you're going to get your fill of sharks in this one. No pun intended. I guess Phil's in here as well, right? But yeah, I would say the footage was super clear. And when going after cryptids, this is not something you usually have, is super clear footage. I think everyone knows about the super wobbly, like grainy footage that usually accompanies like Bigfoot footages or like any other type of cryptid. Mainly because I think they're trying to recreate the Patterson Gimlin one, which again was a long time ago on not as good cameras, and the dude was running. Whether it was real or not is another story. We've done an episode on it somewhere, a link above. It was a really nice kind of breath of fresh air to have footage that, yeah, it was a little bit grainy, I guess, because of the age, but it was clear, it was precise, it followed the animal, so you could kinda see what it was. Yeah, it looked a little unusual, but it definitely looked like a large, large sand tiger shark, so super cool. They get to the island, he talks to the one of the coast guards or, like not coast guards, but, like, just one of the people that watches over because it's a wildlife refuge, and so he has to stay on the island, but he has seen it as well, and multiple times, so they feel pretty good. They go to this side of the island, the north side, where they've gotten tips about where they could find this shark, and they do find a, decent sized small tooth sand tiger shark. Not as big as the one in the video. You can definitely tell from the video that one is much larger, definitely at least 15 feet, if not a little bit bigger. But that thing was massive. But yeah, they find a really cool looking small tooth sand tiger and are able to clip on like these little like cameras that that kind of like run behind it like a remora would. It kind of just surf behind the sharks. And they find out that, yeah, there's a whole bunch of them living in the depths around this island. And they do say at the end, yeah, it does look like a small tooth sand tiger. So again, maybe the mystery is solved. Of course, it doesn't maybe fully explain why they seem bigger here than other locations. Is it just better prey? Are the older ones just congregating here? What's going on here? But some pretty cool big small tooth sand tiger sharks. And something else I think that's kind of noticeable when they're showing the overhead shot is they're pretty wide. Looks different than I guess the sand tigers or the ragged tooths that we would see today. Today, if you go to like an aquarium where yeah, they have the same kind of body shape from the side, their heads look different, not as kind of broad, and their eyes aren't as big. As well as from the top, they look different. Honestly, these ones from the top, you can see some similarities with basking sharks. And of course, these are both lamniforms, which is an order of shark, but it's just really cool where you can see similar traits. And that helps you, I guess, when you're going back in the fossil record where, yeah, we only have teeth to go off of. You can look at some of these sharks and make some educated guesses of what the prehistoric sharks may have looked like. So, super cool there. The small tooth sand tiger shark was really neat to see. So, a very awesome addition to Shark Week 2025. Now, the final one was Alien Sharks Death Down Under, which was the Forrest Galante episode where he's traveling to Australia to look for some venomous sharks or shark relatives with the ghost shark, but as well as look for the Port Jackson shark and actually see what venom does. So, I guess kind of similar to like Kings of Pain if you guys ever saw that show, but does have the same flair as if you've seen any of Force's other kind of Shark Week episodes, and sort of similar, I would say, to like Extinct or Alive, but those ones feel different. Still good. You still see like his passion coming through. He gets really excited when he sees the wobbegong, and I would say in this episode you get a lot of diversity of sharks. Obviously, the Port Jackson, you don't really see a ton in these series. It's not like a big man eater or something like that. So it's cool to get in addition here. The Wobbegong, you do see from time to time, especially when they come up and eat something. I know that video is circulated from when I was little. I mean, that's been out there. The ghost shark was super cool, and you get a lot of like just smaller, unique, like kind of deep water sharks, as well as different animals as far as rays. Really cool looking seahorse and a saw shark, like a true saw shark, which does differ from like the sawfish and stuff that we see. But again, just convergent evolution between two kind of closely related animals. So not as like super crazy convergent evolution as like ichthyosaurs, sharks, dolphins, right? Or all kind of similar body plans, but very different but very different types of animals. Yeah, no, this one was another pretty solid episode, I would say. I think the production value on all these were really good. I would say at some parts of this episode, it did seem a little dark, but overall, I would say it was good. I don't know if everyone's going to like this one, just considering what it's about. I would say that's probably why Kings of Pain, while I know a lot of people did enjoy it, didn't get renewed for a season 2, right? Right off the bat, I would say, because I think it came back for streaming. So overall, how would I rank these episodes? And this one's tough because I did enjoy them all, and they're all really pretty solid. And while all of them are really pretty solid, I don't know if anyone does enough to justify it jumping the other. I would say if anyone, I would have to say won it, maybe the Expedition X episode featuring the small two sand tiger, just because it was such a cool and unique shark to see on Shark Week. It's very different than what we normally see. So I'd give that another kind of solid 8. And then the other two, oh, this is tough because the Expedition Unknown had some solid like production value behind it as far as like doing the recreations and stuff. But I don't know. I think overall they're all pretty solid, maybe sevens and eights between these two. I think the Expedition X one kind of just goes above it just a little bit. But again, a pretty solid night. Probably the best one we've had so far as like overall value for all 3 episodes, where it doesn't feel like there's one big banger, one kind of letdown, and then one that's so so. Like all these seemed like pretty good episodes. So pretty happy there. Like I said, going into tomorrow, I'm a little worried, kind of seeing what the commercials were. The most intriguing one is actually the first one, which is the Jaws debunking the myths or something, which feels like Mythbusters already did that, but we'll see. We'll wait to pass judgment till tomorrow. But there's my review. Let me know, as per usual, what your favorite episode of Shark Week 2025 Night 4 was in the comments below. And if you guys want more Cools reviews, click that link to your left. For more about us here at Cools Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like, give us a subscribe, and just let us know in the comments what's your favorite shark. But we will see you tomorrow.